are back. Unfortunately, KPLC did us a number on Friday, but tuko hapa. It's a Monday. Manchester United won. Arsenal dropped points. So, good. Tuko sawa. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. Yeah, tumekaa bila kuingia live, but at least fortunately today KPLC wamebehave, so yeah. We are on. Yeah, my week has been okay. Week imekuwa nzuri na ikatopiwa up na 3 points, so yeah, it's been a good few days.
Yeah, a good result over the weekend. At least Manchester United, the club I support, gave us a scare in the first 4 minutes. And yeah, it was interesting because I was watching both Arsenal and the Arsenal game and the Manchester United game on different screens. It was very interesting because when we went down, Arsenal also went down, so their fans also didn't get time to send their banter to us. But yeah, God is good.
Kabisa.
Yeah, wakatulia, they scored 2-1, and then lo and behold, Joao Palhinha scored an equalizer. But anyway, let's go to the thick of it. Eva, do you have the results with you?
Yes, I have the results. Today I think I'll go the other way. I'll start with the other leagues, then I'll finish with EPL.
Yeah.
Okay, on to Bundesliga. Friday early game was between RB Leipzig and Stuttgart, where Leipzig won a astounding 5-1. Then Saturday games, there was Hoffenheim and Heidenheim. Hoffenheim won 3-2. Cologne with Wolfsburg won 2-1. Darmstadt, Union Berlin had a red but still won 4-1. Bochum and Dortmund drew 1-1. Freiburg, Werder Bremen, Freiburg were victorious with a 1-0 score. Mönchengladbach. Yes, lost 3-0 to Leverkusen. Mainz drew with Frankfurt 1-1. And yesterday there was Bayern and Augsburg, where Bayern were victorious 3-1. Okay, we move on to Serie A. Friday again there was Frosinone won 2-1 against Atalanta. Then Saturday games there was Monza Empoli, where Monza won 2-0. Verona also won 2-1. Milan also won by a huge score or a huge margin of 4-1. Juventus drew with Bologna. Fiorentina also drew with Lecce. Lazio lost 1-0 to Genoa. Napoli won, this is yesterday's game now. Napoli won 2-0 against Sassuolo. Today there is a game going on between Salantina and Udinese. They are still 0-0 at 45 minutes. Then there's also Inter Cagliari also to be played later on today.
What do you think? Do you think Inter will win?
I think so. I haven't been following Serie A, but Inter, although they are away, I think they'll win. Okay, on to La Liga, where Friday game was between Las Palmas and Real Sociedad, which they drew 0-0. There was also Friday again, there was Celta Vigo were hosting Real Madrid. They lost 1-0 to Real. Then there's Cadiz also drew to Almeria on Saturday. Granada, Mallorca, where Granada won 3-2. Sevilla and Girona emerged victorious with 2-1. Villarreal lost to Barcelona 4-3. Yesterday's games was Valencia and Osasuna, where Osasuna won 2-1. Sorry for the background noise. There's a tuk-tuk outside. Okay, the next game was between Athletic Club and Real Betis, where Athletic Club won 4-2. Today they have games between Getafe and Alves, and Real Vallecano versus Atletico Madrid.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for Atletico Madrid to win here. Atletico are a strong side. We all know that they want to match up with the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid. So I'm rooting for Atletico to win. Yeah.
okay, on to the big now league, or the league we usually follow, where Friday we had Chelsea versus Luton Town, where Chelsea emerged victorious with a 3-0 score. Saturday games, we had a lot of games, starting off by Bournemouth Tottenham, where Tottenham won 2-0. So Brentford Crystal Palace 1-1 draw. Arsenal also drew with Fulham. We remember that Fulham had a red card in that game, but still managed to equalize. The other game was between Manchester United and Nottingham Forest, where United won 3-2. Also, there was a red card against Nottingham Forest in that game. Then there was Everton lost 1-0 to Wolves. I think Wolves, I didn't think they would survive this season, but judging by their performance in the early stages, I think they just might survive.
You know that game?
Yes.
Yeah, that was also one of the game. One of the stations I was watching, the one that was showing Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest, was like cutting into the games, and I watched some of the highlights, the live highlights of the Everton versus Wolves game. You know, in that game they had, I think, 4 balls hitting the post. Actually, it was Everton who are winning the game. Everton, I think, thought they had scored, and then a goal was ruled out or something like that. But Sean Dyche has a big task, because if you look at Everton, they are one of the big clubs in England. They have money, they can buy players, but for some reason it's not working for them. So that's a game that I feel Everton lost. They had it, but they lost it.
Yeah, Everton are in big trouble. Even in the early stages, you can see. I think I don't know. They're just not a lucky team. But the transfer window is still on. I think they still have a few coins to spend, and hopefully they'll spend them. They'll spend it wisely. Okay, moving on. Brighton. That was a big shocker for me. I watched that game because it was right after our game, and I was almost sure that Brighton would win that, but they were outplayed by West Ham. Counter-attack,
West Ham were on a high. I mean, West Ham beat the most expensive squad in the world at the moment. They beat and West Ham want to show that with Declan Rice going, it doesn't really affect them. Brighton, yes, they play beautiful football, but for me it was also a shocker to see them lose against West Ham.
Yeah, and it was a debut goal for their new signing. What's his name? The guy from Southampton.
Ward-Prowse.
Ward-Prowse, yeah. He was the one who started the score. Who scored first? So yeah, I think West Ham are really performing well this season. Hopefully they'll continue. We don't know, but yesterday's game we had City Sheffield, where City won 2-1. I think City is the only team with a perfect score this season yet. They haven't lost, they haven't drawn, all wins. Then we had Aston Villa and Burnley, where Aston Villa won 3-1. Later on, we also had Liverpool Newcastle, where Liverpool won 2-1, and they also had a red in that game. I think
Virgil van Dijk. People are making a lot of noise saying that he's better than Vidic, he's the best defender we've ever seen in the Premier League. But come on, let's just be honest. He, to me, hasn't even picked the levels that Akina Vidic were, and the likes of John Terry. Those were serious defenders. Of course, football back then is not like football right now. But look at those defenders. Look at Akina Shawcross. Look at Akina Ferdinand Vidic. Those guys were performing season in, season out. They did not have a season where they were like, oh, they are down. No, these defenders were hardcore. But Virgil van Dijk is now getting exposed. I don't know whether it's because the midfield is new. He does not have that cover he used to get with Henderson and Fabinho. Yeah, but to me, I rate him highly, yes, but I don't think we can even say he's the best midfielder the Premier League has ever seen. I think that's a discussion that people were just getting ahead of themselves.
I think there was a time it was arguably he was one of the best, especially when Liverpool, I think 2-3 seasons ago. By no doubt, I think he was the best then. Right now, obviously he's still an above average player. He is a good player, but I think it also depends on how the team as a whole performs. I think the reason why we put some players highly is because the team was playing well throughout their period in those teams. For example, Vidic and Ferdinand, throughout their career in Manchester United, we were winning things. So but easy to put them in that conversation.
But look at it this way, because the time of Vidic, the time of Ferdinand, they were also top defenders, especially in Italy. Italy was known to have one of the best defenders in the world. And what I usually don't rate Virgil van Dijk so highly is when it comes to one-on-one situation, because he actually gets beaten in almost all of them. If we look at commanding the defense, let's be honest, he's not a defender that actually commands the defense. He's not a defender that people are afraid to go up against. You look at defenders that were in Italy back then, you actually knew that at the end of the game you're going to either to have an injury or you wouldn't get a score. Because if you look at throughout this, let's say I'll give a Vidic because I'm a Manchester United fan, I'll be a bit biased, but look at Vidic. The only player we can all say that gave Vidic a hard time was Fernando Torres, but all other players were actually scared of going against the guy. Look at Virgil van Dijk. Unless he has cover, fine, he is the best in terms of ball interceptions, in terms of aerial balls, but one-on-one situation is not the best. He's not. I can't put him among the top 5 in terms of one-on-one situations, in terms of commanding the box as a defender, in terms of having that defensive leadership. Because if I'm honest, if you remove Virgil van Dijk in that team, and if you have him, there is not so much impact.
I don't know. We'll have to see now after today.
We'll have to see.
Because I can remember vividly, there was a season where is it Pickford injured him. He was out for like half the season, and Liverpool really struggled when he was not there. I think that's the reason why they couldn't match up with the other big teams that season, simply because Van Dijk was not there. Maybe we have split opinions on that, but I still think he's one of the best. For me, if he comes to Manchester United, I think he starts. I don't see any team in maybe City, but most other teams he would always start in that team. So
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying he's definitely one of the best, but I don't think we can put him in the same brackets as Akina Vidic.
But do you think Vidic would, or those caliber of players would make it in the current football scene where there's VR, there's so much things happening that you cannot get away with so many things that those years players would get away with? I think football has really changed, where now a defender just doesn't need to use his physicality but also his brain when maybe defending. And right now,
of course, the football scene has changed with all this VAR, with all these rules. Like I told you last time when we had the show, we will see a lot of red cards this season. It's like game week 3, and we've already seen 8 red cards so far. Because a simple mistake gives you a red card. In my opinion, the red card against Nottingham Forest to me was not a red card. Of course, when the foul happened, I shouted red card because from the angle I saw that he was the last one. But looking at it critically, there were like 3 defenders in the same line, so it's difficult to say that he was the last man. Yet again, you find that if a player, let's say like Onana, was given a yellow card for time wasting, so the rules are making football less enjoyable. Back then, you used to see a tackle and you feel like, yes, this is a man's game, this is a tackle. But nowadays, a small thing is a yellow card. I mean, soft penalties. We have VAR decisions that are just ruining football. And then the worst thing about VAR is not actually making those calls. VAR is not being used the way it's supposed to be. Remember Onana and his foul? Of course, that was a penalty. Yet again, remember last week against Tottenham, Garnacho kicked the ball. The defender stopped it with his hand. The VAR did not make the call. So you look at all these things. So VAR, when you want it to work, it doesn't work. And when you don't want it to work, it works. Because yeah, I agree with you, like Vidic, some of the things he used to do, of course nowadays they wouldn't go scot-free. But yet again, defenders do adapt. Look at Lisandro Martinez. Is one of the hardest defenders to play against, and he usually has a good way of getting out of it. But yet again, who knows? All I'm saying is, yes, Virgil van Dijk is a good defender, but to me, if we were put them side by side against those defenders, regardless of whether football has changed or not, I still think he's a bit shy of reaching those levels.
Yeah, for me, I think I just look at him compared to his generation. If I start comparing with the Maldinis, I think it would be unfair for him, because those are two different. I think those are two different kinds of eras of football where rules were so different, so much so that Van Dijk might not even make it in those years, because
but yet again, if you go ahead and start saying that he's the best defender to have ever played in the Premier League, you are putting him in that bracket. You're putting him in the bracket of wale wa kitambo. For example, right now, let's have a look at this. Right now, people are saying that Erling Haaland is about to be the best striker that the Premier League has ever seen. The moment you put out that statement, then it means you're starting to compare him with the likes of Alan Shearer, the likes of Dwight York. Those were top strikers. Even now, Harry Kane, he was put in the brackets of those players. So whenever you start saying in the entire history of the Premier League, we've never seen such a player, then of course, unaanza kuleta wengine into the discussion.
But I think there are so many different ways of arguing out their point. I don't think that any point is wrong. It's just the way you approach the point. Because for like Harry Kane, yes, he hasn't won so many things, but I wouldn't say that he's not in the conversation for top strikers ever in the English game, because he has proven every other season that he's been here that he's a top goal scorer. So Harry Kane, to me, Harry Kane is one of the best goal scorers. In strikers in the Premier League, I'd say. So Van Dijk, he still has a few years to go, so we don't know what will happen.
But he's not young anymore. He's like what now, 32?
He's 32.
I think so. Van Dijk is in his 30s now, so not much time. But yet again, defenders, goalkeepers their prime is in their 30s. That's when we start seeing the best of the defender. They are not like midfielders and forwards. Defenders and goalkeepers can actually be. Look at what's his name, the Chelsea defender, Thiago Silva. Look at him. He's in like what, 36, 37, and look at him play. Chelsea can't play without him because he's a leader. He understands the game. So let's give Virgil some time. Yeah, I'm being a bit harsh on him because it's the start of the season. Players haven't caught their rhythm. At the end of the day, it's football. It's Klub Banterz. Lazima tuchome kidogo. And I think I'd even argue that
our player who's the Licha. If Licha continues to play the way he played last season, he will get a lot of reds this season.
Yes, he will.
Because the VR I think is a bit abnormal this season, where even the slightest of touches in the leg, as long as somebody just tricks, and I've seen that strikers have known that. So they are not even going to score. They're just playing in and around the box, just to wait and see if you'll commit. And once you commit, like the Rashford penalty, I can assure you, Rashford, his whole intention was to be fouled. Because even the way he was going by, he was not going directly to the post. He was like trying to force it on the line so that the striker can just put a leg in, and he. Most strikers right now are also playing that way. Like they are leaning on the defender to like commit so that they can get a foul and get a penalty.
You know what I find odd this season is the fact that referees are allowed to give yellow cards because of dissent or because of shouting at them. Look at what the Bruno yellow card was about. He got fouled and yet he got yellow carded because of the passion, the heat of the moment. He lashed out at both the player and the referee. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at a season where now players need to be quiet? We are toning down the passion. You know, football, at that heat of the moment, there is a lot of passion. Now I'm assuming next weekend we are playing, or the next game we are playing against Arsenal, and we all know that Arsenal versus Manchester United is a heated game. So what happens when players start fighting? Does the referee now start flashing yellow cards at everyone? We are going to give you a yellow, everyone gets a yellow. I mean, some of these rules are ridiculous.
I can almost predict that there will be a red in that game.
There will be
a red. And hopefully it will not be concede the red, because if we do, we lose the game.
Knowing Arteta, and Arteta knowing Bruno, with every team now knows, just frustrate Bruno Fernandes and he gets carded. They all know that some players are very rash. For example, Anthony has shown that he's very rash. On the other side, Arsenal, if they are going to play some of the players, for example, he left, but if he was in the team, if Xhaka was in the team, definitely that's a red card. You look at also Declan, right? What's his name? This player that they bought from Brighton, Ben White. Yeah, he's also known to lose his cool at times and have those rash tackles. So it will be an interesting game. We'll do a preview, of course, but today is not a preview show, it's a review. One of the games that I want us to highlight is that Liverpool versus Newcastle game, because Liverpool got a crucial win against Newcastle. Newcastle, remember, are not an easy team to beat. They have money now, they have all the players, they have a coach. But I was looking at the highlights last night and I was like, is it time Newcastle now start going for the top coaches in the world? Because I mean, they have the resources now. They have built a team. They can buy players that they want. Is Eddie Howe the right fit if they really want to match up to the top teams in Europe?
I think they'll eventually. I think they'll have to get a new coach for them, because Eddie Howe, he's taken the team as far as he can. I don't think they can win the league with him. But we'll wait and see. I'm sure if he doesn't get or if he's eliminated in the Champions League early, I think that would be a goodbye for Eddie Howe.
Champions League is a whole different animal, man. Champions League is. I'm also worried. I'm also scared for my team, Manchester United, because I mean the way we are playing Champions League will get slaughtered. Champions League has it's not even like league football. It's totally different. There are teams that come in and they look different. They can be beaten like 7-0 over the weekend, but in the midweek Champions League fixture they beat you thoroughly. Because let's look at it. Bayern. Let me see whether I can get the Champions League group where Newcastle is. Because I don't see any.
Have they removed? Have they? Are the groups already?
I don't know whether they. No, they are not done.
They are
not done.
Maybe they'll be done. They were supposed to be done, I think, this week or next week. I'm not sure.
They are not done because we still have teams that are yet to qualify. Remember, there's usually a qualifier that is played. So yeah, a playoff. But still, I mean, look at the teams that are expected to be in the Champions League. Name them. We have Dortmund. We have Bayern. That is Germany. We go to Italy. We have Inter Milan. We have Napoli, who are also very strong this season as well. Remember, they haven't sold most of their players, or most of their first team players. Go to Spain. We have Real Madrid. We have Barcelona. We have Atletico Madrid. We have Sevilla. You go to Portugal, there is Benfica. You know, all those teams, and all of them are a pain to play against. They are a pain to play against. And the way I saw Newcastle play, they'll need a whole new tactical outlook. Because Champions League, you know, it's also the shock. Like, some of those players have never even experienced the Champions League anthem being played at their stadium. And all of a sudden they're having Champions League. So Siko Baya, I don't have anything against Eddie Howe, but I think that's where you'll be caught. That's where you'll be caught. And even if they do manage to be relegated to the Europa League, it's still a very difficult. Europa League nowadays is very difficult also to win.
But the good thing, I think, the team might not have played in the Champions League, but I think most of their players have some experience in the Champions League. If you talk about Trippier, Isak, I think, also played when he was in. There are a few players there who have a feel of the Champions League, but most, I think, not. But I don't know. I think there'll be a surprise because most teams also don't know how Newcastle play. Most teams don't know. And English, I can assure you, EPL is hard. EPL is not a hard league. It's a very difficult league. So I would favor. Okay, I'd have to see the group that they are put in. But if they get these small teams where they are playing against some team from Russia, some team from Netherlands, and maybe one big team, I think they can go through the group. Last 16, not sure.
Yeah. Remember that last season we also said the same for West Ham. We thought that they wouldn't win the Conference League, and then yet again they went on and won it. Yeah, but looking at how Newcastle are playing, yes, they play nice football, but they need to step it up a bit against the Champions League teams, because what the performance they had against Liverpool. Remember, Liverpool is a Champions League caliber team. Remember, last season they failed to win the league or match out to City because they lost to some of the big teams. So they need to make sure that they show what they can do against the top teams in England, like Newcastle, Manchester United, Arsenal. These are teams that are going to play in the Champions League. So when they meet them, they need to actually say, hey, look guys, as much as we want this premiership, we also want to go to the Champions League and show the likes of Bayern, Real, that we are here to stay. Because Champions League, man, that's it's actually one of the most difficult leagues. Champions League is one of the most difficult competitions to predict who will win it, who will qualify, who will not qualify. Yeah, and remember, Champions League, there's a lot of money in it. So if they can be able to get at least the quarterfinals, it's a good show, and it makes it easier for them to make signings next season.
I think Champions League will be very, because we are back after a year out, so I'm also a bit giddy. I don't know how we'll perform. Hopefully we'll get favorable teams in the group stage. But I hope we perform well. Even if we we get out like in the quarters. I think quarters is a respectable place to get out of the Champions League. If we get out from the group stage, it will be a waste that we even qualified to go to the Champions League. So yeah, I hope we get less of La Liga teams. I think La Liga teams are our Achilles heel. Usually don't perform well against teams from Spain. So hopefully we get less of that and more of Netherlands teams and those other fringe countries.
Yeah. Now, speaking of other countries, Barcelona did beat Villarreal 4-3 in an entertaining match. The game was at 2-2 at halftime. Gavi, Frankie de Jong scoring in the first 15 minutes. Gavi scoring the 12th minute, Frankie de Jong scoring the 15th minute. But Villarreal were able to pull 2 back versus Juan Foyth. And then you have Alexander Solot, though they were able to score the 20th and 40th minute. The game was 2-2 at halftime. Villarreal went ahead versus Barcelona via Alejandro Baena. And then Ferran Torres said, no, you're not going away with this, scored an equalizer. And then the big man, Robert Lewandowski, scored the winner in the 71st minute. That's a game that I think we missed to watch because it was like...
Yeah.
funga tukufunge.
Yeah, it seems it was an entertaining game. I think Barcelona, just by the fact that they have so many financial strains this season, they might not perform as well, even domestically. I remember last season they were able to take the La Liga, but this season I'm doubtful. Real Madrid are coming out really strong this season, so
100% record.
Yeah, 100% record. So yeah, I don't know. Only time will tell, because right now we are sure that Barcelona is not buying any players.
Yeah.
So the team that they have now is the team that will push them, and they're also in the Champions League. They have their own domestic cup to play. If they get injuries, then that's even a double tragedy for them, because they can't buy. If they get a long-term injury right now, it will be big trouble for them.
And remember, some of their players are also aging, and they might not be able to play all the games throughout the season. They have some very exciting youngsters, the like of Gavi, the likes of Ansu Fati. But for some reason, some of those young players don't get a chance. Probably it's because of the trust they get from their manager. But at the end of the day, Barcelona are a big club. They should not be performing poorly. Last season, actually, it was a shock, because most guys were saying, no, Barcelona can't be able to win the league. Real Madrid looks stronger than them. But Real, remember, they have some very serious players, especially in midfield. They are spoiled for choice. We have 3 exciting youngsters in the midfield who can be replaced by the old guards, and the old guards are also experienced Champions League winners. But La Liga is usually determined by El Clasico, because El Clasico, that's where the title decider is made. Looking at Napoli won 2-0 versus Sassuolo. Sassuolo getting a red card there. Sassuolo were very lucky because they would have been 3-0 down. Napoli were unable to score a penalty in the 60th minute, but Victor Osimhen scored a penalty in the 18th minute. VAR awarded the penalty, and then we had Giovanni Di Lorenzo, a very exciting player that I don't know why most teams in Europe don't have a look at that player. Scored in the 84th minute to seal the winner. So it's 64th minute, to score the winner. Napoli, last season winners, starting the league very strong. Let me look at the standings. Napoli are second to Inter Milan. Inter Milan are just ahead based on goal difference. Inter Milan have a positive 5 goal difference, while Napoli have a positive 4. Very interesting. There are 2 games so far this season. Juventus, they always find a way to break the law, and they get points deducted. Steve, what do you think is happening to Juventus? Are they paying for their sins? Remember, they had won like 13 league seasons in a row.
Yeah, if you cheat, eventually they'll get you. Especially if you are a repeat offender, they usually scrutinize you more than other teams. I think that's what Juventus are suffering from because they are known to do fishy things in the like in that club. So even their bodies, they usually scrutinize them maybe a bit more than other teams. So I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe it's still early. They only played 2 games. They are just 2 points behind. So I don't know. Maybe there's still time to improve the team. Juventus is still Juventus. As long as they don't get banned or relegated or points deductions, I think they'll be up there. So yeah, they'll be.
Do you think?
Definitely up there.
I think they still have a transfer ban because I haven't had Juventus making any signings this season. Not sure about that. We'll check about that. Lazio losing to Genoa. You had mentioned that. Lazio are a team that I usually compare or I see similarities of Tottenham and Lazio because Lazio is a big club, but they never seem to be performing the way everyone expects them to perform. Lazio get good coaches, they have good players, but still they don't perform. One of the teams I want to see is the Jose Mourinho team. Let me see whether they played on Saturday because these results are on for Sunday.
They drew.
Yeah, is this Jose Mourinho's?
They actually lost, I think. Yeah,
is
they
this
lost.
Jose Mourinho's third season at Roma?
Yeah, this is his third season.
And you all know what Mourinho does in his third season.
They lost to Verona, so they lost 2-1, and I think Verona also had a red card in that game. So yeah.
And you all know how Jose Mourinho starts behaving in his third season.
But I'm thinking
he has a habit of causing a fuss.
I see they're eyeing for Lukaku. So maybe if they manage to get him, which it's easy because no other team wants him. So and also Chelsea, his team also don't want him. So they have
and no Premier League team wants him.
Yeah, and it's only, I think Roma are the only ones in the rest. It's just about his salary and whether he'll be willing to like push it down a bit. But yeah, if he wants to play football, he'll have to go to Roma because Chelsea won't give him a chance this season.
But Lukaku needs to settle down. I mean, Lukaku is one of the top forwards in the world, and his troublemaking is making him disappear under the sheets because he had a good chance at Manchester United. Of course, he was among the players who were troublemakers. Rumor has it that he was among the players who was leaking news to the media, leaking the team, the lineup. Look at what he has done at Inter. Inter trusted him, gave him a chance. They gave him a contract. He decided to go behind their backs and negotiate with Juventus. Look at the trouble he caused at Chelsea, forcing Chelsea to send him away on loan. If he was a settled forward, he would have been the best because Lukaku can score goals despite the many memes we usually say or the many things we usually say about him regarding his fast touch and becoming a defender instead of a forward. Lukaku is still a top forward.
Yeah, but unfortunately also ears are catching up with him. He's no longer the agile player he was at West Brom or at Chelsea. Right now he's a bit older, a bit slower. So even his reaction time is also, I'm sure, not as sharp as before. So for him, if he still wants to play football and still wants to represent Belgium in the upcoming competition, he needs to find a team and settle down and start playing football. If he continues,
or he can send his agent to Saudi and tell the agent to get me a contract in Saudi.
I think there was a time this early transfer he said that he's still young, he doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia yet. He still has things to prove in Europe. So I don't think he wants to go, even if there's a chance that a team, I'm sure there's a team that would want him in Saudi Arabia. He's a brand. Even if he's not
he is.
Even if he's not a good as a player as people think, he's still a brand, and Saudi Arabia would have him very fast if he wanted to. But yeah, if he wants to play football, he just needs to just concentrate on football and stop all these side shows outside the field.
Yeah. Speaking of side shows, I want to add a meme here. Let me see. A very funny meme. I was trying to share it with Steve before the show. Come on, where is this thing? There you go. Yeah, I hope you guys can see that. Remember the goal that was scored against Manchester United, the first goal. We have Andre Onana there. Let me zoom it in a bit. We have Andre Onana there driving a Formula One. That was the best banter I've seen this weekend. I don't know what Onana was thinking, because he actually sat down when the ball was like 3-4 yards away, instead of standing his ground. And then the meme came in that he was actually driving a Formula One car, I think a Red Bull one.
It's a funny meme, but I think just rival fans just want, like, they are really scrutinizing this guy, and just also it also proves the point that he's actually a good keeper, because they are trying to find any fault, even obscure things that even don't even like make sense. They are trying to put me with them and trying to just make him like a comical keeper, but he's a good keeper.
Yeah.
I think but unfortunately for me, in the last 2 games, he's not going forward. I don't know why. He's not distributing. Especially last game, I didn't see him distribute the ball well, the way he did in the first Premier League game. Also, he's not like he's indecisive when it comes to like going against a striker. You might find a ball comes, he goes forward, then I don't know, something happens. You see him now again trying to track back and cover his goal. If you commit to go for a ball, just commit and go, kabisa. This like going forward then thinking, no, I should go back.
Actually, in the Nottingham game, there was an instance where he had the chance to go for the ball, but he stood rooted in his goal. I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he doesn't quite yet trust his defense to be able to make those moves. Because if you look at all other places he's played, he has always had cover in case he goes for the ball. Some of the instances you find that Varane and Licha were going too far ahead, and there was no last man to cover him in case he loses the ball. So it's still early on. He needs time to adapt the Premier League. He needs time to adapt with his new players and his new team. So let's give him time. Of course, we enjoy banter. That was a funny one. We'll see whether we can share it on our social media pages. So we only have 2 minutes to go. Steve, do you have anything to say?
I'm happy. Ten Hag listened to the fans and switched up the team finally. I think it goes to show that Eriksen and Bruno are better pairing in the midfield. There are more chances created, and I think we played well. Another good point, Rashford was not playing up top. I think he's more effective in the position where Garnacho was playing. Leave Rashford in the wing. He scored tons of goals from that wing. I don't know why the coach wants now to put him broad, and it's not working. Just put him wide, because Rashford is a player who needs space to run and do all trickery. He needs space. He's not a guy who plays in like tight spaces. He needs space to run, and it was a good game. I don't think they dominated. I think we dominated, even though we went 2-0 down. The team showed that this will recover. I was not panicking once I saw how they were playing. I just knew, especially once we scored the first goal. I knew this team we can actually recover that game. So big up to Ten Hag for changing it up. Hopefully, but another point, he should start like doing subs a bit earlier. Once you see it's not working, just do the subs. Don't wait until the 75th minute is when now you're bringing on players. Because a player also needs like to warm up into the game. If you bring him at the 75th minute, he only has 15 minutes to the end of the game. If he's not quick enough and does not like gel into the game in the first 5 minutes, then he won't have any impact in that game. So I think 60th minute maximum. If you're not putting him in 60th minute, there's no need of putting him in.
True.
There's no need actually to unless he's a defender and you want to add more cover. Putting in a striker, changing a striker in the 60th or 75th minute of a game, I think I don't know. He should have let Marshall actually finish the game, because Marshall needs to be fit. I think he's the only player who hasn't actually played minutes, and I thought that he'd let him even finish the 90. Then just because Marshall needs a momentum. I think it's those players who need momentum in order to grow into the game and all that. So he's been resting, so I don't know why he still wants to rest him a bit more. Or maybe he's not fully recovered, I don't know, maybe.
He's not fully fit. Remember, he didn't quite have a good preseason, and Ten Hag is usually very careful about having his players fit. We all know Martial is a player that is very fragile. He gets injured all the time. So I think it was good to have him play at least 60 minutes. Hopefully we'll have him going forward. So that's that for today. Thank you very much for watching the show. Thank you for being with us tonight. Always remember to catch us every Monday and Friday. We hope KPLC won't disappoint us again. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.